Nurgle certainly loves life, but what happens when that life fights back? Yes, that's right, DURTHU, the tree daddy, has risen. He's used the world roots to teleport to the Lorelorn Forest and is now sallied forth against FESTUS. Yeah, I'm playing Nurgle here against Felcon's Wood Elves, so let's get to the builds here. FESTUS the bestest leading the way. We've got some Marauders of Nurgle up front with some Nurglings for a nice wide infantry line of cheap stuff. A single Chaos Knight with lances for some elite shock. I will say only 65 speed on these guys. Definitely feel that slow speed. We've also got a couple of the Exalted Heroes on chariots. These guys can take either horse or chariot mounts. Chariots can be good against Wood Elves. We've got +6 damage reflection as a passive on this guy, constant. And then the other one has this missile resistance aura here. Because, of course, we're up against the Wood Elves, some Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes, and some Poison Hounds to round things out. For DURTHU here, Felcon coming in with a couple of Swift Shiver Shard Deepwood Scouts, some Glade Riders Spears as well, Dryads up front, some Eternal Guards. He's got a couple of Blade Singers for some high DPS, and some Eternal Guards with more Glade Riders in the back. So we're going to get things started. I'm going to pull up my mobility units and try and pressure. Definitely want to win the mobility engagement if I can, so we're going to try and bring these units in all together. You can see I've kind of got my hero formed up with the knights, with lances and everything. My infantry line's going to be pretty slow to advance, so we'll have to make a note of that, but yeah, the Swift Shiver Shards here, initially not doing a ton. As they start to focus and get more and more hits, I mean, 110 armor, plus to the missile resistance up to 25% with the passive active. Should be pretty good, but at the same time, it's a lot of damage on a relatively high-value target that I don't necessarily want to be taking. I'm going to pull away there and continue to just kind of screen and skirmish. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of an approach here. Poison Hounds, oof, those Nurgle Horsemen. Also just getting peppered with those magical Swift Shiver Shards. For the Wood Elves, both the Swift Shiver Shards and the Hagbane Tips deal magic damage, which is definitely something to make note of against the Monogod factions, who can take a lot of demons. In this matchup, you're pretty likely to see Nurglings and Furies at the very least, even though I didn't take any Furies here today in this build. We're going to get this going here. We're going to mass charge in with the Hounds, try and just strike quickly this Eternal Guard and sort of alpha strike them off the field. I'm also going to support now with the Marauder Horsemen. This is one of those things where, yes, this is a risky idea. It's probably pretty stupid, but sometimes you got to try these things out just to see how it goes. 3 Marauder Horsemen of Nurgle versus 3 Glade Riders, 4 Glade Riders in melee. Of course, the Hounds and the Eternal Guards also mixed into this combat as well. A little bit of Flock of Doom from DURTHU to help even this things out, but it doesn't go well for me. I mean, surprise, surprise. You probably could have told me that in advance, but again, sometimes you just got to try things out to know for yourself. But Chariots come in here, get some nice disruption, set up a beautiful stream of corruption there, and start to kind of break apart the Wood Elven lines here. But, oh man, this is nasty. A straight charge of Blade Singers into Nurglings. They're not even on their high weapon damage stance. They're still going to do a lot of damage, even with the debuff from FESTUS there. That, what's it called? I forget. The Pestilent Potions, of course, plus the Poison, significantly debuffing their weapon strength, but Sword of Daith gets popped on these Chaos Knights, and look at that damage value on Sword of Daith, man. It more than half HP off of these Chaos Knights, basically by itself. I mean, maybe some of that damage also came from the Blade Singers, but so far I've been pretty underwhelmed with the Knight charges. Granted, I'm not getting the best contact on those, but still, it does seem like they're not doing amazing. We're going to continue to throw some heals there, though, and try and keep them operational. Lamentation of Despair is mostly a swing and a miss. Over here, unsuccessful mobility fight's going to turn into a little bit of a kite as I try and draw these Glade Riders' spears away and do some damage with the Marauder Horsemen. Maybe be countercharged back in with the Hounds, but back in the infantry fight, definitely overblobbed over here with these Marauders fighting the Eternal Guards. I've got FESTUS in his healing stance, which, considering the Blade Singer's high value and relatively low HP, I probably should be draining right now. It's hard to say. But regardless, some nice fire coming in from those Swift Shiver Shards, nice Flock of Doom as well to deal some good DPS to this horde of stuff as it continues to sustain. Looks like an overcast Flock of Doom there, doing quite a bit of damage, but still, the Horsemen here, the Lancers, able to stay online, the Chaos Knights, the Marauder Horsemen also being seen off by the Glade Lancers, the Glade Riders here catching up, surrounding the Poison Warhounds, just decking them. Be expected. And the loss of the mobility fight is going to kind of have a cascading effect on my build, because you can see already that my heroes on chariots are getting interrupted by the light cavalry. And basically, the light cavalry can interrupt, and then the Eternal Guards can come in and actually get the hits. And I mean, Glade Riders are definitely okay DPS as well. Maybe not against a highly armored target like these guys, but oof, some brutal hits. I must say, I love the aesthetic of the Nurgle champs and just the Nurgle stuff in general. It looks really, really good. But first, the slug here to try and keep these units slowed down. Nurgle Knights eventually do get through and get an okay engagement on some Glade Riders with spears, but still aren't able to break them maybe as quick as they should. I need to do some testing with these guys. Maybe I'm just not getting good charges in this particular battle, and they're fine. Maybe there's something going on with their animations where they're not actually making contact. But anyway, these Blade Singers going to get in here, straight into the flank of the Marauders. And again, even though they're not on the high weapon damage stance, not as efficient as it could be, their anti-infantry DPS is definitely going to be more than these Marauders can handle. So we'll watch up close as the Marauders start to go down here. And interesting to note that the Marauders of Nurgle do bleed. I haven't really paid attention to like Plague Bearers and stuff to see if they ooze green goo instead of blood. But anyway, Manticore are going to be summoned up in this late game to try and help finish off my character chariots. They are going to continue to ride around as best they can, but there you go. Nice block with the Glade Riders there. And then the Eternal Guards getting in. Going to finish the job. Winterheart Guards even are unbreakable and have basically taken no damage over the course of the battle somehow, which is quite impressive, honestly. The Blade Singers are also, I mean, they've taken damage, but they are quite healthy still. And poor Festus is fully surrounded. Daddy DURTHU's coming. That Sword of Death. Bigger than a, you know, a building. They're taller than a building, I should say. Maybe not bigger, but you know what I mean. Anyway, that's going to be army losses and a victory for Falcon. So definitely a mistake to go for that mobility engagement. Maybe if I had my knights and my chariots within range to actually support like I had originally intended, it would have gone a little bit better. But, you know, sometimes you got to try these things out to understand that they definitely don't work. Anyway, Glade Riders, as a result, get some really nice value, whereas my Marauder Horsemen end up doing okay at the end. A couple of them skirmish out some value, but really pretty subpar. Same thing like the Knight and the Chariots, all these heavy armor mobile units really weren't as impactful on the charge as I felt like they would be. I don't know, maybe I'm just not putting them in an ideal situation or a situation that they're good in necessarily, but yeah, definitely also draining Festus, or having Festus drain these two Blade Singers, both of which got insane value as well, would have been helpful. But honestly, I really like Falcon's build here for a number of reasons. I mean, the Blade Singer's offensive output, just cut through Nurgle chaff if they end up bringing it. Of course, DURTHU, elite armored, you know, large unit with huge magical armor piercing damage. It's going to be good against most threats that Nurgle can throw at it. I mean, maybe had I brought these two champions on horseback so they had armor piercing damage, you know, due to the great axes together, maybe they could have taken down DURTHU, but it definitely would have been tough still. The Swift Shiver Shards also love the high DPS magical damage here. That's kind of the name of the game, I think, against Nurgle for Wood Elves, and definitely what Falcon was going for here. Dryads also a solid choice. Eternal Guards help hold the line. The Glade Riders prove their superior mobility and melee capability over the Marauder Horsemen of Nurgle. So there you go. Definitely a learning experience for me. Hopefully you learned something as well. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.